Good Tuesday evening and happy Groundhog Day, everybody. I'm Steve Shamraz. Welcome to the Now Milwaukee. We're going to start with meteorologist Jesse Ritka this evening. We have a mixed mess fallen over pretty much everybody in southeast Wisconsin
Yeah,
today.
to say the least. I mean, now granted, we did kind of miss the brunt of the snow, 15-inch snow totals out in South Dakota. But us here, yeah, we started off with that mix, and now it's transitioning over to rain. So winter weather advisory is going to be expiring for Dodge, Fond du Lac, and Sheboygan counties at 10 p.m. But really, this big story has kind of been that line of that rain versus the snow. You can really tell it on satellite and radar. This was at 11 o'clock this morning. Right along I-94 is where we had that wintry mix. And notice that as we've gone throughout the day, that line has changed. Basically, if you've been along portions of Kenosha, and Milwaukee County, that's where we've been looking at the rain staying and lingering, but the further north and west you go, that's where the colder air has wrapped on in, and that's what brought the snow. Down to the south, though, tornado warnings from this same entire system. The cold front is bringing tornado warnings into portions of Alabama and Georgia right now, so a pretty potent storm system. We'll talk about some of the things that were flying from our skies, though. Definitely not talking about tornadoes here coming up in a few minutes. Steve.
The old saw that it's always worse somewhere else is very appropriate today. Here's a live picture from Beaver Dam. Schools actually closed today. The snow is expected to continue there through the evening and then let up sometime overnight. This is car cam out on the roads a little bit earlier today when we still had some daylight. This is near Fond du Lac. They've actually had reports of thunder snow there and at least 3 inches of wet, heavy snow on the ground. The snow we're seeing all over Wisconsin causing problems for other parts of the Midwest. Highways have been shut down, thousands of people without power, and some new research from Ball State University says the number of all of our blizzards has actually doubled since the 1960s. In that time, the average has jumped from 9 to 19 a year. Researchers found blizzards are cyclical, peaking every 14 years or so. Well, there was a bright spot in the sky that had a lot of people talking across the southern part of the state last night. That fireball went streaking across the sky, and now lots of those same people are asking, what was it? So, Casey Geraldo, everybody, what was it?
The answer, a meteor.
Okay.
It was a meteor, and the Milwaukee Astronomical Society tells me that fireball isn't that uncommon. What is unusual, though, is that people actually saw it.
It's not every day you see a fireball fly through the sky.
It's nature's fireworks.
But it might be every week that it happens.
A fireball the size of that one that we just saw in Madison probably happens every couple of weeks, and probably even much more frequently. Corrector lens on that side.
In fact, Gene Hansen from the Milwaukee Astronomical Society says even smaller meteors and debris hit the Earth constantly.
They're very small. It's when they get larger, that's when they get to be much brighter and much more spectacular to see.
He says yesterday's meteor isn't nearly as bright as this February 2013 meteor, shaking up a Russian town, which Hansen says moved faster than 43,000 miles per hour.
It was brighter, as bright or brighter than the sun when it came through.
But this one doesn't even match the sun's counterpoint.
It looked to my eye, it was about maybe half the brightness of the full moon, maybe a little bit less than that.
Still, Hansen says this sight was special since most people don't see much of the night sky.
Generally speaking, because people are looking up, they usually see at least one meteor. And the less night sky that you see, the fewer meteors you're going to see.
He tells me there is one familiar sight, which may mean you've had a sighting.
A falling star is a meteor.
Hansen tells me the one thing he wants to make sure everyone knows is that we are safe. There's no
danger from the meteor.
Exactly.
Casey spent pretty much the better part of the afternoon looking around the building for a basketball.
This basketball is very important.
And we found one, so this better pay off. Go ahead.
It does. So this is the size a meteor has to be to pose any danger. So as it goes through the atmosphere, it kind of burns off from friction and sciencey things. So this is how big it has to be to actually make it down here to Earth. So we're safe.
Sciencey things. Casey Geraldo, thank you. Well, he's been the Speaker of the House for 3 months, but today Paul Ryan made his first official visit to the White House. Ryan and President Obama had a private lunch and then a joint meeting with Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell. While both sides have shown a willingness to compromise, that could be elusive this year. The presidential election has ratcheted up the partisan rhetoric.
We get along with each other personally. We agree to disagree on these things. And so we will put those disagreements in check, see where the common ground is, go act on that common ground to get some things done.
During his news conference, the speaker said he believes a Republican will be elected president this year. An update to a story we told you about yesterday on the Now Milwaukee. Police in Burlington say they have arrested somebody for knocking over that statue of Abraham Lincoln. So far, they're not naming the 22-year-old they have in custody because they still believe there's a second person out there that they would like to catch. Now you know, the Centers for Disease Control says there's been the first case of someone getting the Zika virus through sexual transmission in the U.S., and that happened down in Dallas. Doctors say it's very rare for Zika to be passed on this way. Typically, it's transmitted by mosquitoes. That has not happened yet in the U.S. Announced just hours ago, Yahoo is going to lay off 1,700 workers. That's about 15% of the workforce. Apparently, it's been struggling with its competition, Google and Facebook. Yahoo also plans on closing offices in 5 cities. The FBI now investigating the water crisis in Flint, Michigan. The water there was contaminated back in 2014 during a source switch. As people are now desperate for clean drinking water, the state's government announced they need to be aware of scammers. Both people pretending to be contractors who can fix pipes or stealing donations have been caught. The Centers for Disease Control says the number of flu cases is on the rise, but according to the health department here in Wisconsin, cases are low around the state right now. Most people who are sick with the flu are young to middle-aged adults. The flu season typically runs through February. It can stretch as late as May. In case you have not heard any of these stories today, now you know. Coming up, it's a work of art you might see every day on your way to or from work, but do you know what it means? The Milwaukee story we're learning more about during Black History Month. Plus, Be Still, Mi Corazon, when a River West restaurant plans on opening up in a new neighborhood. This is the Now Milwaukee. Stay with us.